On this video, I am going to be reading from the Greek text with an English translation, Matthew chapter 4, verses 18 to 22, where Jesus calls for fishermen to be his disciples. So we pick it up at verse 18. Pepaton de paraten thalasan tes Galileas, Aden duo adelphus, and walking beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simona tan legamenon Petron, Simon, the one being called Peter, Kai Andrean tan adelphan altu, and Andrew his brother. Balantas amphi blace Sturan ace tain thalason. He saw the two casting a net into the sea, asan gar ali ace, for they were fishermen. So we're going to see Jesus now calling Peter and Andrew to be his disciples. They were fishermen, and they were busy casting their net when Jesus called them. And notice verse 19, Kai lege autois, and he says to them, Diuta apisomu, come behind me, Kai poieso humas, alies anthropon. Come behind me or follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. Notice Jesus gives the call, and he is saying, come behind me, and I'll make you to be fishers of men. I'm going to give you a calling to fish for men in building disciples for me. And then in verse 19, Kai lege autois, diuta, and then he said, come behind me and I'll make you fishers of men. Hoi de eutheos aphentes ta dictua, and immediately leaving their nets, ekaluthe son auto, they followed him. Immediately, the text says, leaving their nets, they followed him. I'm impressed by the immediacy of their following Christ. And that is something that I think Matthew is saying, that Jesus is calling disciples to follow him. And he sets them as an example of those who immediately responded and followed him. And then verse 21, Kai prabas ethe ekathen eden alas duo adelphus. And when they had gone on from there, he saw two other brothers, Jacoban tan tu Zebediah, James, the son of Zebedee, Kai Ioannain tan adelphan altu, and John, his brother. Notice he sees now James and John, the brother, and they were in the boat. Notice ento ploio meta Zebediah tu patras auton katar tidzantas ta dictua auton kai akalasin autus. So he sees James, the son of Zebedee, and John, his brother, in the boat with Zebedee, their father. And they were busy mending their nets. It says, Katartidzantas ta dictua auton. They were busy doing about their work, mending their nets, kayakalasin autus. And he called them. And we had the same response, Matthew says. Verse 22, Hoida eutheos offentes ta ploion kaiton patera auton, e kaluthesan auto. And they immediately left the boat and their father and followed him. Notice again the immediacy of what they did. They immediately left the boat and their father, and they became Jesus' disciples, and they followed him. And I think what Matthew is saying to his readers, that Jesus calls disciples to follow him, and he sets the example of Peter and Andrew, and then James and John as examples of those who immediately left everything and followed Jesus. Even their work and their father, they became his disciples. And furthermore, he goes on in verse 23, showing how they began to minister. And notice, or how Jesus continued to minister. And they were joining him in that. Kai pariegen in halete Galilea, didaskon in tas synagogais auton, kai keruson ta evangelion tes basileas, kai therapuon pasan nasan kai pasan malachion in to lao. And he went about, that is Jesus, all Galilee. And notice what he was doing, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom. That is the good news of the kingdom, that the kingdom had arrived in him, and healing all disease and all sickness among the people. Notice Jesus then is preaching and teaching and healing people. And we're going to see his ministry to the multitudes at the beginning of his ministry, and Matthew's describing that. And then in verse 24, his fame begins to spread abroad. Notice, kai apelthen hea kea autu, es halen tain surian, kai prasenegan auto pantas tus, kakos ekantas poikilais nasois, kai basanois sune kamenus, kai demonizamenus, kai seleniatsamenos, kai paralutikos, kai etherapusin altus. And notice his fame spread through all Syria at that time, and they brought to him the sick, those afflicted with various diseases and pains. And he names the types of diseases that he healed: demoniacs, epileptics, paralytics, and he healed them all. So Jesus is healing everyone. He had 100% success in his healing. And Matthew is driving that point home. And so great crowds followed him. Notice kai ekaluthe san auto akloi paloi apates galileas kai dekapalaos kai palumon kai Judaias kai perantu Jordanu. That is, great multitudes or great crowds followed him from Galilee and Decapolis and Jerusalem and Judea and from beyond the Jordan. So he's gathering multitudes that are following him because of his teaching and his healing and the wonderful things that he has done. Again, Matthew is presenting Jesus in his overall ministry of teaching and healing all those that were afflicted with diseases. And he had 100%, can I say, success, setting forth Jesus as the King, as the Messiah, who in his kingdom has come to heal people. And Jesus is truly the great teacher and the great healer. As God, as the God-man, fully God and fully human, he is the God-man who Matthew is presenting as the real, can I say, king, who is teaching and healing everyone that he comes in contact with.